Good evening, everyone. The Tuscaloosa City Council will now come to order. If everyone will please stand for our prayer, followed by our Pledge of Allegiance. Let's bow our heads, please. Dear God, bless our proceedings tonight. Give us the wisdom to know what is just and the strength to do what is right. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. Approval of the minutes?
Make a motion, we approve the minutes.
Second.
It's been moved and second that we approve the minutes. Voting, Mr. Wilson.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Minutes stand approved. Proclamation statements by mayor and council. Before I get to the recognition of our of Captain Simpson and our human trafficking task force and the recognition of awareness regarding human trafficking for this month, I do have three quick announcements. City Hall will be closed for Monday, January 15th in observance of Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Garbage, trash, and recycling routes next week will run one day behind schedule. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to call Tuscaloosa 311. Also, there will not be any council or committee meetings next Tuesday, January 16th. At this time, I'm going to ask Captain Simpson, Chief Blankley, and also anyone that is here to join us in regards to proclaiming January 2024, gosh, I can't believe we're in 2024, to be Human Trafficking Awareness Month. So, Captain, Chief, y'all will come forward. Before I get into the prepared remarks, when I was looking over this morning, when we started this initiative several years ago, frankly, I had no idea of the impact that human trafficking was taking on people across not only our city, but our state and our nation. And the decimation it provides families and individuals. And I'm really proud of the work that TPD has taken to lead this effort in our community and join with our other law enforcement partners. So I'm going to read a few of the data points into the record. Whereas Alabama Human Trafficking Awareness Month was established in January 2011 in observance of National Human Trafficking Awareness Day to proclaim the equality and freedom to all people, to advocate for legislation to educate leaders and encourage public awareness to the various forms of human trafficking. And whereas human trafficking is a public health issue and crime that affects individuals, families, and communities across generations, exploiting the most vulnerable among us and weakening our collective well-being. And whereas an estimated, and this is what floored me this morning, an estimated 27.6 million people are subjected to human trafficking globally, including cases of human trafficking reported in every state, including ours. Whereas the first step in eliminating human trafficking in our community is education, things like tonight. We must work diligently to ensure that frontline industry responders, educators, and parents are aware of this issue, know how to spot it, and know how to report it. I know recently Stephanie and I have talked more and more about this. So now therefore it be resolved that I, Walt Maddox, on behalf of the City Council, do hereby proclaim Human Trafficking Awareness Month in Tuscaloosa and encourage all residents to join us in raising the visibility of this crime and to become more informed in ways to prevent, recognize, and respond to potential human trafficking in our community. I certainly want to present this to Captain Simpson, who heads that, and to certainly our chief. But Captain, I'm going to ask you, more importantly, not to have step beside you, Chief. I want you to know you're important in this. But Captain, I know that you and your team that's gathered here tonight works on this on a daily basis. Would you just mind, if I'm the public at home and I know very little about human trafficking, in a minute or two explain what it is, why it's important, and what we're doing about it here in Tuscaloosa?
Human trafficking rarely takes the form here in the United States that we see on TV and in movies, which is a very overt, kidnapping, forced captivity style that we see glamorized in the media. The form that it takes here in the United States is much more insidious. It gets into our kids. We have victims that are as young as 9 years old here in Tuscaloosa, and it's where children and where vulnerable adults are taken advantage of for the commercial enterprise of another person, and they're their sexuality, their images, and oftentimes quite often sex acts are used to enrich these other people. And it's done through force, the threat of force, and these other means. One of the things that we see here is the fact that this causes isolation for these victims, whether they're 9 years old, like the one that we have right now, or whether they're 15, 16, or 20 years old. And so because of the isolation, it makes it much more difficult for them to get out of it, but also for us to find them. The reach of the internet is what's getting to our kids. And so one of the big focuses of the West Alabama Human Trafficking Task Force is not just going after what we know as commercial sex, both the supplier side and both the customer side, the demand side, but also in working and trying to educate kids as young as 5 and 6 year olds who can go onto a computer like that, go to a game website where they can communicate with another person and where they're already being sexualized. And the one that we have that is so young right here was being victimized by a person in California for their financial gain. And so that's what makes this so important, is because that 9-year-old is now damaged, and I hate to use a term of damaged goods, but that 9-year-old has been exposed to trauma that is going to follow that child for the rest of their life and impact every one of their relationships from this point going forward. And so it's extremely important for us to be out here. We're very appreciative of the support from the mayor and from you as the city council in doing this, because we know it's not cheap and we know it's time consuming. But it is extremely important because the internet is becoming every single day a bigger and bigger part of our lives that we cannot escape. And our children, like we said, as young as 4 and 5, can get on their parents' devices and go to these gaming sites and talk to another person whose sole goal is to victimize them. And so we are extremely appreciative. Thank you for the opportunity.
Well, Captain, let me just say, I know the council, the chief, and myself, it's an honor for us to support this. 2 things. One, if somebody tonight's interested to have you or a team member come talk to their group about the challenges that are out there, again, what you said is right. We tend to think of the movie Taken or something like that when we think of human trafficking. But what's happening on the internet, what's happening out there in different places, the manipulation that can take place often with our young adults, the most vulnerable. If I'm a community group or a church group, a civic group, and I wanted to have somebody come and talk to us about it, who should they contact? And then I'd like you to introduce your team here as well. I can only imagine, I can't imagine what it's like to have to work in this field. It can't be easy. And the things that you see, I just can't imagine. Thank you for that. So, Captain.
We provide age-appropriate lessons for K-5 all the way through civic groups, businesses, churches, schools, and they can call the Tuscaloosa Police Department and ask for the West Alabama Human Trafficking Task Force. They will get them to us. That's the easiest way to do it, and we will set up the trainings. It's at no charge. We do it on our time. We set up a time when they do it. We need to reach the kids, but we need to reach the parents so that they know what to look for in their kids.
Would you introduce your team?
I'm sorry, the 2 of you are going to have to give your name again. I've been out for a while. With Trafficking Hope, this is one of the non-governmental organizations that is very instrumental when we do our details. They provide us a tremendous amount of support, and they're there to support the victims of human trafficking that we encounter as we do our thing. We've got Investigator Shackelford and Investigator Champion, and then the rest of them are all off at a training conference for human trafficking. So.
Chief, this is your department. You want to say anything? Please.
Yes, sir. I just want to echo Captain Simpson. The support we receive from the mayor and council, it's amazing. Sometimes these details go long hours, and we pay overtime to do them, but y'all are always behind us. They work really hard at what they do, and sometimes it's a thankless job. But when you hear those success stories that comes out of this, it makes it all worth it. So thank y'all so much.
Go.
Chief.
Thank you. Thank you, I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, I know. I might do something like really crazy.
Do we have any council announcements tonight?
Yes, sir. Mr. Mayor, I would like to invite the community out to the Hunters Chapel AME Zion Church on Friday, January 12th, as we honor a freedom fighter, humanitarian, and a peacemaker in our city, none other than Mr. Maxie Thomas, who's a great humanitarian. I'd love to see each and every last one of you who can make it. He's done so much for our community and for our city.
Mayor, I'm sorry, I didn't know the name of the organization that came to help. Could you tell me your name of the organization again? Traffic in Hope? Okay, thank you.
Any other council announcements tonight? Agenda item comments by citizens?
No, sir.
Unfinished business, clerk.
This orders demolition of the structure at 1500 McFarland Boulevard East.
Move adoption.
It's been moved and second. Mr. Williams.
Mr. Mayor, Council, this is for the condemnation of 1500 McFarland Boulevard East, condemned November 22nd, 2022. Property had 41 housing code violations. The owner and/or the representative have been contacted and aware of this hearing. The owner and representative are aware that if it's condemned by the city of Tuscaloosa, the cost of demolition will be charged back to the owner. The owner's contractor has made significant improvements to this building. The exterior has been completed. The interior will be updated to fit whatever tenant they get in the future. I'm not sure if the owner's representative is here to represent the property tonight.
Is anyone here representing the property? Here tonight?
Yes. Yes. Recommendations.
Right. Recommendation is to vote no, take it off and let it stay.
This was a public hearing when it was introduced. Is there anyone here wishing to speak for or against? Seeing none, again, the recommendation is to vote no. Voting Mr. Lanier.
No.
No. No. No.
No.
No.
Recommendation fails. Thank you, Mr. Williams. Consent agenda, clerk.
This approves items A through C on the consent agenda.
Move adoption.
Second.
It's been moved and second. Voting Mr. Wilson.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Consent agenda is adopted. Public hearings, clerk.
This orders demolition of the structure at 702 and a half 17th Avenue.
Move adoption. Second.
It's been moved and second. Mr. Williams.
Council, this is for the condemnation of 702 and a half 17th Avenue, condemned November 20th, 2023. This property has 27 housing code violations. The owner and/or representative has been contacted and are aware of this hearing. The owner and/or the representative are aware that if condemned by the city council, the cost of demolition will be charged back to the owner. The owners have completely cleared out the house of all the trash and debris and have had ongoing vermin extraction taking place. They have started the process of getting a plan and cost for reconstruction. Planning has determined that the structure in question is a non-conforming structure and is impacting the efforts to reconstruct this structure. Planning may want to speak on those zoning ordinances.
Okay. Mr. Pons, would planning like to add to this?
Yes, sir. Yeah, so that section that he is referring to is in our zoning ordinance, section 24106, discussing that when a non-conforming structure becomes physically unsafe or unlawful due to lack of repairs or maintenance and is declared by any duly authorized official to be unsafe or unlawful by reason of physical condition, it shall not thereafter be restored, repaired, or rebuilt except in conformity to the regulations in the district of which it is located. And so with this being a non-conforming structure and having gone beyond that point where a duly authorized official has deemed it unsafe, that we really planning would not be able to allow it to be built back in the same location, the same structure, essentially, as it currently sits.
Before we ask the applicant or the applicant's representative to come forward, does the council have any questions for Mr. Williams or Mr. Fox?
I had all mine answered pre-council.
If the applicant or applicant's representative would come forward, please give your name and address.
Good evening, Cam Parsons, 1804 4th Street, Tuscaloosa. I'm here tonight with my clients. Both of them are named Francis Little. Miss Little has, the elderly Miss Little, 82 years old, has a hearing impairment, so bear with her. Her daughter is Francis. I got James McCrory here with me. I had called the city attorney's office. I just got involved in this officially this week and had a discussion with Jimbo about the progress that had been made so far. And let me just give you a little back history. I think everybody here is probably aware of the rat infestation that was very bad here at this property. Elderly Miss Little was living in this structure. When I became aware and the family members became aware of how bad it was, she immediately moved out. Her daughter, Frances, moved from her house over here in West End, and they moved into the very nice house that's in front of this rental structure. So they're living there together now. They vacated. They hired Mr. James McCrory here and his crew, and they went in and removed all the filth. And I mean, it was gross, no doubt about it. But they removed 2 dump loads of debris and so on. And then the process started sort of at the direction of Mr. Williams about what needed to be done in the demolition process so that it could be rebuilt. So Frances has been using her crowbar and her hammer. First of all, the sheetrock was removed. And then under the sheetrock, there was tongue and groove in siding inside run horizontally. And so they were asked to remove all the tongue and groove. So all the sheetrock was removed, all the tongue and groove has been removed. On the first floor, there's nothing but studs and exterior walls. All those building materials have been removed. The second story where Miss Little was residing by herself at the time, it's basically in the same condition, except they have not had time to remove the ceiling. The sheetrock in the ceiling was removed, and at that time, it was discovered for the first time by them that years ago, there had been a fire up there. And so they were asked then, or told that if they want to rebuild, that the charred ceiling would have to come down, which means then all the insulation would come down too. So that's the only thing that lacks to be done this date to be able to have it to where they can get a final quote for rebuilding. The preliminary estimate that Mr. McCrory has prepared is $43,500. And that is to bring the wiring up to code, the plumbing up to code, and so on. The first level of the house, the ceiling is too shallow, short, for it to be anything more than a storage area or be treated sort of like a basement. But the upstairs, which is basically a 400 square foot apartment, can be a nice little studio apartment for someone. until they have a little bit more time to be able to finish the demolition on the ceiling upstairs, we won't know what the final cost is for that, but still think it's going to fall below the threshold. And to be quite honest with you, I want to speak a little bit about, I think that was Zach that spoke. The reason we're here today was not noticed to have anything to do with non-conforming structures. This hearing was set automatically per the notice that I assume you have a copy of. This notice was posted in around right before Thanksgiving at the house, and then they received a copy of it. And it cited a bunch of code violations, okay? And so Ms. Little moves out. The rats are being abated not only by her, but her next-door neighbor who had problems, Chase Adcock's house on the corner. The notice says that if you don't do these things, fix these code violations 45 days, a hearing will automatically be set before the city council. And you will be notified of the time and date and place of such hearing. So they received a notice, what day was it, Friday? Yeah, I think so. Friday, that they would have this hearing today, okay? And the official notice of why we're here says, in the event, you'll be notified in time and date and place of such hearing. In the event it is determined by the city council, the structure is unsafe to the extent that it is a public nuisance. To the extent that it is a public nuisance, I emphasize that because I want to come back to it. Said structure may be ordered to be demolished, and the demolition shall be accomplished by the city, and the cost thereof will be assessed against the city. So, there's nothing in here that says if you go pull a permit, we may not give you a permit because the structure may be non-conforming, okay? So, my understanding on a non-conforming structure is that it can be rehabbed so long as the cost of the rehabilitation does not exceed 50% of the replacement cost of the structure, okay? So, we've got an 800 square foot structure. The recognized replacement cost, it's my understanding, is $168 per square foot. The bid that we have right now for the rehabilitation is less than 50% of the replacement cost. So I think the conversation about it being a non-conforming structure and whether or not they should be allowed to rebuild is a matter of business for another day, because it's procedurally, it's not before you, although it's been interjected. So this is what I would like to do. I was told that I could not ask that this hearing be continued to allow additional time to do the demolition so that these ladies could get a contractor to give them a final quote. Once again, the preliminary quote is less than 50% of the replacement value, which means it's not a non-conforming structure, even though that's not before you today. So this is what I would ask, and that is to continue this hearing for 30 days, let them finish the demolition, and then they'll have a final quote, and they'll be able to make a informed decision as to whether or not they want to spend that money, and number two, whether or not it will be less than 50% of the replacement value. So I would ask that somebody, if not, I would ask that somebody move that the hearing be continued for 30 days and that I can come back at that time and we can then finish the hearing. If no one wants to move that, I'm glad to move on with the hearing.
I have some questions.
I knew you would.
Well, thank you. A persuasive presenter, that how could I not? City Attorney, you want to And
You
I
got
want,
questions for him or me?
well, I'm not sure. Let's get you both up there and talk. And I want to, I think I'm obligated to be very blunt. I'm in favor of making the structure go away and not come back. Because, and I don't mean to lecture, but this has been
Can
huge.
you get in the mic? We're
It's
having
been a huge disruption, and it was somewhat of a scary event. I know for us, and I'm sure for you as well. But I do have procedural questions. Mr. Holmes?
Yes, sir.
So I believe Mr. Parsons, are we on procedurally solid ground moving ahead with what's in front of us tonight?
Yes, sir.
This action has been properly noticed and,
As far as I know, UD does the notice, but yes, sir.
and the notice was for condemnation.
That wasn't my point. My point was the notice was for condemnation for, no, Francis. It's because the property had code violations, okay? There's nothing in this notice. Do you have a copy of it?
I don't think,
You guys didn't provide me with a copy of the notice? May I present this?
Sure.
Okay. It's highlighted.
So Zach, you want to
If
come
you
up?
would read it, I would invite you to tell me where it says something, anything about it being a non-conforming use. I didn't ask you, Mr. Zach.
Hold
that would-
on a second, Mr. Parsons. Please, we're engaging in good dialogue, and there's no reason.
Mr. Pond, would you come up?
Mr. Pons?
Yeah, so there are two sections within our non-conforming uses ordinance, essentially. He is quoting section 24-144, and I'm quoting section 24-146. Both apply, but clearly one is more stringent than the other, meaning this is kind of a moot discussion on the 50% piece. There's no need to deal with the 50% of the assessed value, et cetera, because the other piece trumps what section 24-144 states.
Okay. Any other questions?
May I respond?
Any
to that?
other questions for Mr. Pons? Mr. Parsons or Mr. Busby?
No,
I
have
would like the opportunity to respond to that
Sure,
because
go ahead.
the point was not what was in the ordinance. The point was that this hearing is not noticed, was not noticed for being a non-conforming use. The hearing was noticed only because the code violations had not been corrected.
That's correct.
Yes, sir. You are here because of the condemnation of the code violations. The non-conforming use is why the property owner cannot build back the same structure in the same place, which is why I believe it's staff's recommendation you not continue, because typically you would continue for someone to get a building permit to repair. Here they're saying it is not legally permissible, that they will not issue a building permit based upon city code. So that there is no reason to delay the matter for a building permit, it won't be granted.
If I might, if we vote to tear the structure down, they can tear it down, right?
Yes, sir.
I mean, we don't have to the city doesn't have to go out there and do it and charge it to them.
Yes, sir.
They can tear it down and then come back later if they can move it. Is that correct, Zach? Move it a few feet and rebuild.
No, they can't rebuild.
Oh, okay. I don't know, but that would be within the code.
Not under the current code. They can't have an accessory structure out there unless the city gives them.
Well, Zach thinks they can.
Mr. Pons, if you'll answer the question, would they be able to rebuild? I think, and let's add, I think to what Mr. Parsons' point is, they would not likely be able to rebuild what exists today.
That's correct.
Would you?
That is correct, exactly what the mayor had stated.
Okay.
All right.
Council have any more questions for Mr. Parsons?
Uh,
Mr. Parsons, you have any more questions for staff?
Mayor,
Mr. Parsons, you have any more questions for staff? Do you have
I
any-
didn't, Mayor, I didn't finish my evidence to start with. I had asked for a motion, and then I said that I was ready to proceed.
I'm about,
with-
I'm about to give you what you want, if you'll just let me finish, Mr. Parsons.
I don't have
I
any
was gonna-
questions from staff.
I think at this point, this is, certainly, this is not a court hearing, it's a public hearing. I think we would like to see you conclude in the next 5 to 10 minutes. And then at that point, the council may have any final questions for you or any team members. So, Mr. Parsons?
All right, well, let me proceed then, since there isn't an interest in continuing this to allow these people the opportunity, as I've seen so many times up here over decades, where the city council is willing to work with a landowner that was making a very earnest attempt, considering limited resources and the fact that they're doing it themselves. But let's go back to the issue then. Can I have that back, please? All right, so in order for a municipality to condemn a structure for demolition, it has to be unsafe to the extent that it is a public nuisance. Haven't heard anything from the city before I was given the gavel or the mic to show that it was a public nuisance. Public nuisance is a defined term under the Alabama Code. And the power that the city has to condemn anybody's property is granted by the state of Alabama. And that code section is actually cited in the hearing notice that was served on the Littles. And this goes back to 1907, for whatever that's worth. A nuisance is anything that works hurt, inconvenience, or damage to another. The fact that the act done may otherwise be lawful does not keep it from being a nuisance. The inconvenience complained of may not be fanciful or such as would affect only one of fastidious taste, but should be such as would affect an ordinary reasonable person. But this is the main part of it. A public nuisance, that's what this, you have to find that there's something there that's a public nuisance, and then I want to give you a few facts. A public nuisance is one which damages all persons who come within the sphere of its operation, though it may vary in its effect on individuals. All right. Mr. McCrory will confirm that the power is off. It's not a fire risk. There's no water. There's nobody living in it. And it's not in jeopardy of falling on anybody. It's not for rent. It's in a position to where the owners can then, once they finish the demolition, can decide if they're going to build it back or not. I challenge you, I challenge the city to show that there is a public nuisance.
Anything else?
We would like more time.
Council have any questions for Mr. Parsons or his clients?
Is it boarded up?
It's not boarded, but it could be if we actually discussed that.
This door is up, but over the windows, all the windows is upstairs, so nobody can get in there, but the door is still up. It's not just
It's
open.
doored, it's presently unlocked because they've been going in and working. But the doors can be secured, and I think there's one window downstairs that could be boarded.
Any other questions?
There's rat bait stations all around there, the house, and this place too. All the rat's nests are gone.
Exterminator's still working on it, going every week, checking it, making sure we haven't seen any over there in the last couple of weeks.
Any other questions for Mr. Parsons or is?
So the public nuisance aspect came not from the structure, but from the rodent population that was centered there. Agree?
Lee, I can't hear you, I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. I said the public nuisance aspect of this came not from original structural defect, but from the rodent population that was emanating from there, I believe.
Perhaps, but that's not what is in the code violation. But it may be part of the original list. I think it was cited to be a rat harborage, right? That's gone.
Any other questions for Mr. Parsons?
I have no other questions.
Thank you, Mr. Parsons.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Besides Mr. Parsons or his clients, are there anyone else that would like to speak for or against? Seeing none, does council have any more questions of the staff or Mr. Parsons? Okay, seeing none, voting Mr. Lanier.
Yes.
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 Demolition is ordered. Clerk,
This adopts zoning amendment number 1517.
Move adoption.
it's been moved and second. Mr. Pons.
So this is Z2123. Perman Construction is petitioning to rezone approximately 2.94 acres located at 4005 Stillman Boulevard from R2 to BN. This is Council District 1. Here's the location of the property. You can see on the intersection of Culver Road and Stillman Boulevard. Currently zoned R2 today. They would like to rezone to BN in order to build a Dollar Tree. It does conform to framework. Framework identifies this as campus services, and Planning Commission did unanimously recommend to approve the rezoning. Here is that future land use character map and the permitted uses in the BN zoning district. Do you have any questions for me?
Any questions, Mr. Pons?
And the applicants are here.
Okay, if the applicants or applicants' representatives would come forward, please give your name and address.
Need to come up.
Good evening. If you would, please give your name and address.
Chris Copeland and Mason Mohan with Pyramid Construction and Development. We've been working with Zach and Haley Webb to rezone from R2 to N to build a commercial retail store, 10,000 square foot. It's going to be a Dollar Tree. Address 4005 Stillman. He's covered that. I'm not sure what you need to know from us. I think,
Just your name and address unless there's questions.
sir?
The council,
Just your name and address unless there's
Oh, I'm
questions.
sorry.
as accountant, I didn't know if you wanted to make a presentation or give sort of a preamble to what can be anticipated there, and then you don't have to, and certainly at that point, the council may want to ask you some questions. So we can just start with council questions. Any questions from city council members?
Good afternoon. Matthew Wilson, you will be coming to District 1. Been working with Zach in concerning the entrances and the exits. Can you kind of give the public a sort of kind of overall view of what you're going to be presenting and bringing to our district?
May I bring you all a copy of the site plan?
Yes. Okay. I've seen it, but I don't mind seeing it again. Right. Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. Thank you.
We typically, well, not typically, but we often build in more rural areas, but building where we're building, we're willing to take some extra steps, do some additional landscaping to give it some more appeal to the community, if that helps. I don't have a big presentation,
So,
and I reckon I'm done.
excuse me?
I said I'm finished.
Oh, okay. I talked to, as we were talking about this project, we talked about keeping the neighborhood separate from the commercial retail. Can you kind of expound on that?
Okay,
Will you?
if I remember correctly, we're talking about most.
trees.
And large, sir?
The trees and.
Right,
and
and
boundaries.
maybe adjusting the entrance on Clinton.
Yes.
To land in the existing tree opening as opposed to leaving that open and tearing out more trees. And, our civil department has redrawn it and resubmitted it to Dollar Tree. They've not yet approved it, but they don't have an issue with it. They've just not due processed it and gotten it back to us.
Do you know the timeline that you think you'll get that? Do you know the timeline that you would receive something back from them? Because what I want to make sure is that the existing neighborhood is protected.
I understand.
Can you speak into the microphone? I'm sorry.
I apologize. I moved to here, then I moved, yeah. I would guess this month at the outside, they would tell us something.
I look forward, Zach, to getting some updates on that. We're looking forward and happy for the excitement of the development. I think that's a good thing. Just want to make sure that we protect the neighborhood and give a great product that the community can be proud of and that you can be proud of as well.
Correct.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Any other questions for the applicant? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is a public hearing. Is there anyone here wishing to speak for or against the zoning amendment? Seeing none, voting Mr. Wilson.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Zoning amendment is adopted. Clerk.
This adopts zoning amendment number 1518.
Move it up.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Mr. Pond.
All right, this is Z1723. Mr. Hicks is petitioning to rezone approximately 0.5 acres located at 405 15th Street from BNS and R4 to BN. This is Council District 2. The location of the property here, I believe it's Tuscaloosa Tire today on the corner of 4th Avenue and 15th Street. You can see that there are two different zoning districts on it today. And they are going to BN. It does conform to framework. Framework identifies this property as corridor commercial, which allows for, generally car-oriented pattern. They are proposing to do a quick service. They can kind of talk more about that, but I believe it's out there on what they're proposing. But the Planning Commission did unanimously vote to recommend approval at the September 2023 meeting. Again, framework, it does conform to framework. This is where the framework character map shows that it is corridor commercial, and then the BN uses that could go there at that location. Any questions for staff?
Mr. Pond? Okay, if the applicant or applicants would come forward, please give your name and address.
Mike Hicks, here on behalf of the developer, 2728 Lurleen Wallace Boulevard, Northport. As you've probably heard, they're planning to build a Starbucks drive-through here. Won't have any indoor seating, it'll have some tables outside. Be similar to the coffee shop down the street in front of the tennis courts there. And the BN zoning will allow a drive-through, the BNS would not. So this is supposedly going to alleviate some of the traffic that's backing up onto Veterans Parkway to the east.
Any questions for Mr. Hicks? Other applicants?
I just want to say I'm excited. We're
Oh, good.
removing a business that,
Yeah.
we're going to have something more attractive on 50th.
Yeah, that'll be
So
nice. Thank you.
This is a public hearing. Is there anyone here wishing to speak for or against the zoning amendment? Seeing none, voting Mr. Lanier.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Zoning amendment's adopted. Good luck. Clerk.
This will authorize execution of a development agreement with North River Hospitality, LLC.
So move.
Second?
Moved and second. I know the council has been fully briefed on this. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, this is a public hearing. Is anyone here wishing to speak for or against? Seeing none, voting Mr. Wilson.
Yes.
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 Congratulations.
Good luck.
Welcome. Welcome.
Resolution ordinances not of a general nature or permanent operation. Clerk.
This will authorize execution of an addendum to services contract with Placer Labs Incorporated.
Move it up. Second.
Moved and second. Voting Mr. Lanier.
Yes.
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 Resolutions adopted. Clerk.
This will authorize the write-off of water and sewer and environmental services overdue and delinquent accounts for fiscal year 2023.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and second. Voting Mr. Wilson.
Yes.
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 Resolutions adopted. Clerk.
This authorizes a revised cooperative maintenance agreement with the Alabama Department of Transportation.
So move.
Second.
Moved and second. Voting Mr. Lanier.
Yes.
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 Resolutions adopted. Clerk.
This authorizes a professional services contract with Vital Exam LLC.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and second. Voting Mr. Wilson.
Yes.
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 Resolutions adopted. Clerk.
This authorizes the Office of Community and Neighborhood Services to make and advertise substantial budget and program amendments to the 2018, 2019, and 21 annual action plans in the 2015 to 2019 and 2020 to 24 consolidated plans for community planning and development programs.
So move. Second.
Moved and second. Voting Mr. Lanier.
Yes.
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 Resolutions adopted. Clerk.
This authorizes a contract with Flock Group Incorporated.
Move it up.
Second.
Moved and second. Voting Mr. Wilson.
Yes.
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 Resolutions adopted. Clerk.
This will authorize a contract with Axon Enterprise Incorporated and declare a bid law exemption.
So move.
Second.
Moved and second. Voting Mr. Lanier.
Yes.
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 Resolutions adopted. Clerk.
This tentatively awards a public works contract to Price Civil Services Incorporated.
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and second. Voting Mr. Wilson.
Yes.
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 Resolutions adopted. Clerk.
This tentatively awards a public works contract to Bagby Elevator Company.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and second. Voting Mr. Lanier.
Yes.
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 Resolutions adopted. Clerk.
This tentatively awards a public works contract to J.T. Harrison Construction Company Incorporated.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and second. Voting Mr. Wilson.
Yes.
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 Resolutions adopted. Clerk.
This authorizes a professional services contract with Jonathan Ray.
So move.
Second.
Moved and second. Voting Mr. Lanier.
Yes.
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 Resolutions adopted. Clerk.
This will authorize execution of a memorandum of understanding with Regional Training Institute.
So moved.
So move.
Second.
Moved and second. Voting Mr. Wilson.
Yes.
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 Resolutions adopted. Ordinance and resolutions of a general nature or permanent operation for introduction. Clerk.
This will introduce zoning amendment number 1519.
So move.
Second.
Moved and second. Voting Mr. Lanier.
Yes.
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 For adoption. Clerk.
This sets February 6th as the date for a public hearing to consider the adoption of zoning amendment 1519.
Second.
Moved and second. Voting Mr. Wilson.
Yes.
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 Date is set. Auditing accounts.
This authorizes the payment of bills.
Pay those bills.
Pay my bills.
Moved and second. Voting Mr. Lanier.
Yes.
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 Bills are paid. Citizens' comments and other communications. Any citizens wish to address their city council tonight? Any citizens wish to address? Ms. Young, if you would, please come forward and give your name and address.
Lisa Young, 6170 Loblolly Lane, Tuscaloosa, Alabama, 35405. As a concerned citizen, I am deeply troubled by the recent events involving the Tuscaloosa Police Department and the urgent need for accountability and transparency within our law enforcement. The lack of body cameras and dash cameras for TPD personnel has resulted in devastating consequences, eroding public trust and leaving families without critical answers. The allocation of 40% of Tuscaloosa City's budget to TPD underscores the responsibility to equip every law enforcement officer with body cameras and dash cameras. The absence of such technology has directly contributed to grave incidences within our community. Some of the incidents. On December 30th, 2022, the tragic loss of India Jefferson during the pursuit involving TPD, the assault on Courtney Stevenson by detectives during a traffic stop, and the ultimate death of Tristan Clark at the hands of a TPD investigator, all share a common thread: the absence of critical video evidence due to the lack of camera technology. Families affected by these incidences were left without vital support of video footage, forced to rely on solely the accounts of the involved officers. This presents a situation that does not align with the standards of accountability and transparency that our community deserves. The implementation of body cameras and dash cameras for every law enforcement officer in Tuscaloosa is not merely a matter of choice. It's an imperative step toward ensuring transparency, building trust, and providing essential evidence in critical incidences. This measure is not only in the best interest of the public, but also serves to protect the integrity of our law enforcement. I demand that the Tuscaloosa City Council take immediate and decisive actions to mandate the use of body cameras and dash cameras for all TPD personnel. This step is essential in upholding accountability, fostering trust between law enforcement and the community, and ensuring that incidences are thoroughly and accurately documented. I respectfully request your prompt attention and action to this critical matter. The safety and trust of our community depends on it. I find myself often coming here addressing the council about situations where there's a lack of body cameras, and this shouldn't be. It shouldn't be an ongoing occurrence. If 40% of the Tuscaloosa city's budget is allocated to law enforcement, there's no reason to not have body cameras.
Thank you, Ms. Young. I just want to tell you, we appreciate your concern for the community, want to see more transparency. I will tell you that we are not being reactive in this. We actually hit the ground running maybe a week or so ago. I say 2 weeks. Me and Councilwoman Howard, and I say Councilman Wilson, along with the support of our fellow council members, TPD, and the mayor, to put a policy in place that all TPD officers will have body cameras going forward. I did do my own research just because my college connections, the people I know, and just searching to see, was this a common practice? And people I went to Stillman with, people I went to college with who are served with Red Dogs, and people in law enforcement in Atlanta, also in Philly, do the same practice when it comes to narcotics agents for certain factors. But we at TPD and the city of Tuscaloosa have a policy in place, and I know there's certain things we can't mention, but we do have that policy in place, and going forward we will have that. All TPD officers will be have body cameras.
I appreciate that, because when families come to me looking for me to advocate on their behalf,
Sure.
you know, it's real disheartening. And as a mother, that answer, no body cam footage, would not sit well with me, and I would not accept it. So, thank you. And
Thank you so much.
also,
Hello, how are you?
How you doing?
Thank you, Ms. Young.
How you doing?
If you would, please come forward and give your name and address.
Hi, my name is Nigel Hewitt. I don't quite know my address because I just moved there on Friday, but I wanted to address you all about an issue that I just encountered on Sunday. I recently moved into a neighborhood right off of James Harrison Parkway on Friday. Sunday, I was not feeling well, so I took a trip to the emergency room. I was there for about 4 or 5 hours, and I received a phone call from my son telling me, "Mom, the police are here and got us in handcuffs with guns drawn on us." So I immediately started trying to rip my own IV out, and I was able to call the nurse and like, take the IV out for me. She took the IV out, and I immediately went home. When I went home, the police officers were no longer at my house, but they were across the street. I have good, decent, respectful children. My children make AB honor roll. They have no disciplinary records in school. They had my 12-year-old twins in handcuffs with an AR pointed in their faces. Even after they realized that they made the wrong call, they come to the wrong apartment, they still had my kids in handcuffs with guns pointed in their faces. I took a trip to the precinct on today and spoke with the supervisor that actually handled the call. His body language was very shaky. I filled out, a complaint to send to Internal Affairs because I felt that what was done was not correct. It was wrong on the property owners of the apartments that I live at, and also it was wrong on Tuscaloosa Police Department because the normal protocol is when you're dealing with minors, you're supposed to call their parents. No one called me. My son had to wait until after they left to give me a phone call. I feel like that's abuse of authority. They didn't handle that correctly. So now my kids are traumatized. They're scared to be left at home by themselves, all because of what the police did. They made the wrong call, come to the wrong door, handcuffed all 4 of my children, and had guns drawn on them. That's not right, and something needs to be done about it. And they didn't call me. And I actually recorded the conversation that me and the sarge or the supervisor had on today. And in his statement, he's lying. He's retracting his words, even in the recording that I have. Something needs to be done.
Any questions for Ms. Hewitt?
No, I have no questions.
You don't know what neighborhood it is off James Harrison?
Forrester Garden Apartments. Yeah.
Any other questions for Ms. Hewitt?
I just want to
she
say
can hold tight after.
that I'm concerned about all issues concerning our police department. And so I will look into this matter. It's not falling on deaf ears.
Thank you.
Yeah, don't leave.
I appreciate it. Thank y'all.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to address the city council tonight? Subject to the exercise of mayoral veto and ordinances of a general nature or permanent operational, applicable departments hereby order to otherwise implement council policy this day enacted. Do I hear a
Move we
motion?
adjourn? Second.
Moved and second to adjourn. Voting, Mr. Lanier.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Meeting's adjourned.
See,